recording.
Kasturi tilakam lalat patale vakshasthale kastubam nasagre varmaktikam kartale venu kare kankanam sarvange harichandanam sulalitam Kante cha muktavali gopastri parivestito vijayate gopal chudamani vasudeva sutam devam kansa chanuramardanam devaki paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara. Guru Sakshat Para Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. We are reading from Srimad Bhagwat Mahapuran, 10th canto, and we will take up chapter number 10 today, which is the Ukhal Leela, Damodar Leela, also it is called, in which the baby Krishna will be tied to the mortar by Mother Yashoda. So far in the 10th canto, we have read about the advent of the Lord, descension of the Lord, and how the childhood Leelas, Sri Krishna's naming ceremony, and how Sri Krishna killed the demons and the demonesses, Putana, Shaktasur, Trinavrat, all these Leelas we have learnt. And let us now learn a very beautiful Leela that Mother Yashoda will try to tie Shri Krishna with a rope, but the rope will always fall short. And this is after checking Shri Krishna's mouth, because Shri Krishna had been eating mud, and when the other children complained to Mother Yashoda, she is scolding Shri Krishna, she is asking him to open the mouth, and then she sees the entire universe in his mouth. So that we read, and now we will read about the Ukhal Leela, Damodar Leela also it is called, and the liberation of the two personalities, which will also be uh, revealed in this chapter. So we will read this chapter, but before we read and have discussions, let us begin with a bhajan. So over to Sri Vijay.
Okay, I'll read the meaning.
Right.
Oh friend, obtain your priceless beloved without giving any price. This opportunity is rare chance which you may not receive again. Believe me, I am telling the truth. If you want to become Krishna's beloved for eternity, surrender your body, mind, and soul. Offer everything to Krishna and receive the bliss of divine love, which will drench your whole being. Then drink that bliss of Krishna love forever and distribute it to others. Says Sri Jagadguru Sri Kripalaji Maharaj, O soul, make this life successful. Why do you want to enter the endless despair again?
Thank you, Radhe Radhe. Piya Mol Amolak Lijiye. The theme is that the Lord always bestows to the deserving soul the wealth, the benediction, which is priceless. So in place, in lieu of the loving devotion that we show to the Lord, He is willing to bestow all the grace. That is the theme. And this grace is priceless. There is nothing as precious as the divine benediction. So let us all sing this together. Piya mol amolak lijiye. Piya mol amolak lijiye. Piya mol amolak lijiye. पिया मोल अमोलक लीजिए पिया मोल अमोलक लीजिए अस अवसर फिर नाही मिलेगो अस अवसर फिर नाही मिलेगो अस अवसर फिर नाही मिलेगो अस अवसर
फिर
नाही मिलेगो बातन राधे बातन मोरे पति जिए राधे बातन
मोर पति
जिए पिया मोल अमोलक लीजिए पिया मोल अमोलक लीजिए पिया मोल
अमोलक लीजिए
मनन चहत जो अमर सुहागिनी
बनत चाहत जो अमर सुहागिनी
मनन चहत जो अमर सुहागिनी
बनन चाहत जो अमर सुहागिनी
बनन चाहत जो अमर सुहागिनी
बनन चाहत जो अमर सुहागिनी
तन मन राधे तन मन प्राणन दीजिए राधे
तन मन प्राण दीजिए पिय मोल अमोलक लीजिए
पिया मोल अमोलक लीजिए पिया मोल अमोलक लीजिए अस अवसर फिर नेक्स्ट लाइन नेक्स्ट स्लाइड दय सर्वस लय प्रेम सुधारस
दय सर्वस ले प्रेम सुधारस
दय सर्वस लय प्रेम सुधारस
दय सर्वस ले प्रेम सुधारस
Just give me 1 second, you continue.
तेहि रस महनित भीजिए तेहि रस महनित भीजिए पिय मोल अमोलक लीजिए विजय भैया you sing as well पुनीते ही रस पीवाई और पुनीते ही रस ही पीवाई और आप ही सोई रस पीजिए पिय मोल अमोलक लीजिए जन्म
कृपालु सफल कर लीजिए
जन्म कृपालु सफल कर लीजिए
जन्म कृपालु सफल कर लीजिए,
जन्म कृपालु सफल कर लीजिए,
जन्म कृपालु सफल कर लीजिए, जन्म कृपालु सफल कर लीजिए, क्यों कर राधे क्यों कर निज पर मीजिए, राधे क्यों कर निज कर मीजिए, पिय मोल
अमोलक लीजिए,
पिय मोल अमोलक लीजिए, पिय मोल अमोलक लीजिए। बोलिए श्रीमद सद्गुरु सरकार की जय, श्रीमद युगल सरकार की जय। जय जय श्री राधे, जय जय श्री राधे, जय जय श्री राधे। Our koti koti pranam to the lotus feet of Sri Hari and Sri Guru. Our koti koti pranam to Swami Mukundanand ji. My humble pranam to each one of you. And let us now read from the 9th chapter, Damodar Leela, from Canto 10. So let me read a few slides and then you all can read. Once during Kartik month, also called as Damodar Mas, Mother Yashoda, seeing all other ladies in the house, busy with various other household works, picked up the churning rod to churn butter from curds, especially for her Kanha, who loved butter. The whole scene looked very serene, with she wearing a very beautiful, colorful dress, churning the curds, remembering and singing melodiously her Krishna's delightful leelas with her bracelets and the bangles, melodiously tinkling with each other, the flowers in her hair dropping one by one with the movement of her hands, churning, her mind full of affection and love. Just then, young Krishna came holding the churning rod, demanded to be fed as he was hungry. The ever obliging Yashoda stopped her work and took Krishna in her lap to feed him. Then, while feeding him, she realized that the milk kept for heating must have boiled now, and urgently keeping Krishna on the floor, immediately rushed to the kitchen. Krishna was indignant and in his anger broke the curd pot with the churning rod. Seeing the curd spilt on the floor, now fearful that a scolding was imminent, he quickly ran and hid into the storeroom and started eating fresh butter that was kept there. So this is the Makhan, the breaking the pot Leela, and Mother Yashoda's affection and how the milk was boiling. So she had to leave Krishna, but Krishna gets angry and he breaks the pot. Let us read the next slide. Yashoda returned from the kitchen and seeing the pot broken with the curd spilled, realized that this is her own Krishna's doing and smilingly went in search of him. She caught him standing on the mortar, generously feeding butter to the monkeys. Though he was alert not to get caught, seeing Mother Yashoda at the door with a stick in her hand, catching him red-handed, Krishna jumped from the mortar and ran. The Lord behind whom the whole creation runs was now being chased by Mother Yashoda. Yashoda, with the stick in hand, could hardly match the nimble steps of little Krishna. But finally, she was successful in getting hold of him and took him inside the house. Little Krishna continued wailing all the way, seemingly terrified of his mother's punishment, wiping and scrubbing the tears along with the kajal from his huge eyes, smearing his face. Seeing Krishna very fearful of her beating of the sticks, the kind mother Yashoda then threw the stick away with a new plan to bind him. So this is the most fascinating story, and we have read similar stories where the creator of the universe, Ananta Koti Brahmand Nayak, the one who is indescribable, the one who no one has understood without his grace, that Lord has become a small child and is behaving like a small child, and he's doing pranks even more naughty than the normal children do. So, breaking the curd pot and feeding monkeys and throwing all kinds of tantrums and troubling Mother Yashoda, who is busy with the kitchen work. So, let's move on to the next. So, there is a verse. न चान्तरन् बहिर्यस्य न पूर्वं नापि चापरम् न चान्तरन् बहिर्यस्य न पूर्वं नापि चापरम् पूर्वापरं बहिश्चान्तर् जगतो यो जगच्चयः तं मत्वात्मजं व्यक्तं मर्त्यलिङ्गम् अधोक्षजं गोपिको लुखले दाम्ना बबन्ध प्राकृतं यथा. Translation: in relation to the Lord, there is neither inside nor outside, neither front nor back. At the same time, he exists before as well as after, inside as well as outside the universe. Nay, he is the universe itself. Regarding that unmanifest Lord who is above sense perception, though now disguised as a human semblance as her own son, the cowherd lady proceeded to tie him to a wooden mortar with a string, even as one would bind a human child. So this is the form of Krishna playing on the flute in the picture, and then there is the Virat form of the Lord, wherein he is the Ananta Koti Brahmanda Nayak. He is the creator, the destroyer and maintainer of this universe. So that sentiment is being expressed in this verse. Let us move on to the next. And over to Sri Vijay. You can read and the others can also read.
Thank you so much. Trying to tie him with a string which fell just short by 2 fingers, about an inch, Yashoda then extended it with another string tied to the first string. But that extended string too fell short by 2 fingers. Then joining one string after another gathered from all over, the composite extended string still fell short by 2 fingers. Though frustrated, Yashoda smiled with the gopis who had now all gathered were watching with amazement. Seeing her bathe in perspiration with her efforts to bind him, Krishna, out of compassion, then allowed himself to be tied down. There's a verse which says, Evam sandarsita hi anga harina pitya vasyatya swavasenapi krishnena yasyadam seswaram varam vase. It says, thus indeed was demonstrated by Sri Krishna his amenability to control of his devotees, even though he is absolute master of himself. And although this universe, along with its rulers, Brahma and others, is subject to his control, O dear Parikshit.
Right. So the rope is always falling short by 2 fingers. And then Yashoda Mata is adding extra length, and then she brings again, ties him up, and then again the rope is falling short by 2 fingers. So when she has exhausted, there is no more rope in the house. Then Krishna, seeing her in perspiration and so tired, then he relents and lets her tie him up. And that is the verse. Thus indeed was demonstrated by Sri Krishna, his amenability to the control of his devotees, even though he is absolutely master of himself. And although this universe, along with its rulers, Brahma and others, is subject to his control, O dear Parikshit. So with that, let us move on to the next slide.
Shreya, do you want to read this?
Thanks. Nemam virincho na bhavo na shrirapyanga shanshreya prasadam lebhire gopi yat tat prap vimukti dat. Neither Brahma, the creator, nor Lord Shiv, nor Goddess Shri, who has her abode on his very person, bosom, received such aforesaid grace from him, the bestower of liberation, as Yashoda did. The Lord Sri Krishna is not so easily accessible to those, even if they perform severe austerities, but remain identifying with the body, or even to those are wise and knowledgeable about their real self, very easily to those who possess continuous and spontaneous devotion to him. Having tied him to the mortar, Yashoda now got busy in her other household work. When little Krishna noticed two Arjun trees standing in the courtyard, the trees were actually the Yaksh sons of Kuber, Nal Kuber and Manigriv, cursed by Devarshi Narad, standing as trees now.
Right. So neither Brahma the creator, nor Lord Shiv, nor Goddess Sri, who has her abode on his very person, received such grace from him. That is the translation of this shlok. And also we read that he is not easily accessible to those performing severe austerities, but then with the loving devotion, he becomes very pleased. That is what is said in Bhagavad Gita also. Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhaktya upritam mashnami prayatatmanha. Sri Krishna is not looking for great austerities or great charity or great other different forms of penance, tap, jap, niyam, etc. He is always looking for the loving devotion, and that is the sentiment. And the last line, the trees were okay. So when mother got busy after tying him up in the ukhal, in the mortar, then Sri Krishna plays this leela. He moves with the mortar, and the mortar goes between the two trees, and he pulls the mortar and brings down these two trees. The trees were actually the Yaksh sons of Kuber. They are called Nal Kuber and Manigriv, and they had been cursed by Devarshi Narad. And in place of the trees, now they are standing. And let us see what happens in the next shlok.
Anybody else?
Anybody else?
Anand, do you want to read this?
Sure, yeah. Radhe Radhe. Pitasi loksha chara charasya tvam asya pujasya cha gurur garyan na tattva na tvatsma samosya abhyadikha kutonya lokatraya pya apartima prabhava. You are the father of the entire universe, of all moving and non-moving beings. You are the most deserving of worship and the supreme spiritual master. When there is none equal to you in all the three worlds, then who can possibly be greater than you? O prosper of incomparable power.
Thank you, Radhe Radhe. Sheilaji, you would like to read this Bhagavad Gita shlok in the takeaway?
Yes, please, if I can.
Yeah. Yes.
I think we need to move the slide. Oh,
No,
this
the
one,
same
same
slide.
one?
Same. Yeah, the
Okay,
same
Yes,
one.
sorry,
this is the
sorry.
last
So
one.
this is the very beautiful shlok from chapter 11, Vishwarup Darshan Yog. Pitasi lokasya characharasya tvamasya pugyascha gurur gariyan na tat samostyo vyadika kutonyo lokatraya apya pratim prabhava. Yes, please go ahead.
Pitasi lokasya characharasya tvamasya pugyascha gururgariyan na tvat samostya adham na tat. I'm getting stuck with that. Hold on.
Na
Tatsamastya.
tvat samostya
Abhyadhika
abhyadhika kutonyo.
kutonyo lokatraye apya pratim prabhava. That you are the father of the entire universe, of all moving and non-moving beings. You're the most deserving of worship and the supreme spiritual master. When there is none equal to you in all the three worlds, then who can possibly be greater than you, O possessor of incomparable power? Thank you, Radhe Radhe.
Shri Vijay, you would like to read it?
Yeah. Pitasi lokasya characharasya tvamasya pugyascha gururgariyan na tvatsamostya abhyadhika kutonyo lokatrayapya apratima prabhava. You are the father of the entire universe, of all moving and non-moving beings. You are the most deserving of worship and the supreme spiritual master. When there is none equal to you in the three worlds, then who can possibly be greater than you, O possessor of incomparable power?
So with that, we have completed the reading of the text and the takeaways. And we are in the early chapters of this canto. There are 90 chapters in canto 10. And right now we are reading about the Bal Leelas. And in the Bal Leelas, the childhood pastimes, so many fascinating stories we have already read. And this is the beauty of doing Sakam Bhakti, where we don't consider Krishna to be a mythological character. We consider that God is Sakam. God can become, not can become, God is both Sakam and Sakar and Nirakar. So this is the formless, there is a formless God and there is the God with form. So Sri Krishna is the God with form, and there is no doubt that Sri Krishna isn't the divine personality. In fact, he is the supreme divine personality. So there are three aspects in which God manifests. In the form of Brahma, he is there in every particle of the universe. That form is called Brahma form, or in English we write Brahman, that's pronounced Brahma form. So that is the Brahma form. Lord is there in every particle. And as our devotion deepens, we can feel that God is there everywhere. Sometimes we feel he is not there in a dirty place, he is only there in a clean place, but he is there in every place. That is the Brahma form of God. The second form of God is he is in our heart as Paramatma. So that is the second form. The third form of God is he takes a form, like he has appeared as Krishna, as Ram, as Balaram, as Parshuram, as Narsingha Bhagwan, as Varah Bhagwan, as all other different forms, as Buddha, as Kapil, etc. So there are infinite avatars of God. Sometimes we say Dashavatar, 24 avatar, but actually infinite avatar. So these are the basic Tattva Gyan we should have all the time, that God is there everywhere as Brahma, He is there as Paramatma in our heart, and He is Bhagwan in the human form, Narvapu. So when He takes avatar in the human form or some other form, especially in the human form, He had done so many leelas. What is the significance of Rama avatar and Krishna avatar? There are innumerable leelas they have performed. So, for example, we have been reading Srimad Bhagavad Mahapuran and it doesn't seem to end. You know, there are so many stories and we keep relishing different stories, and then we begin the next season, and in the next season we realize that last time I had not paid enough attention to this Leela. Like it happened to me today, I have read Srimad Bhagavad Puran possibly 6-7 times. I have conducted Bhagavad Mahapuran sessions for possibly 3-4 times, reading every chapter. But today when I was reading the Balram Leela, the Leela in which Balramji drags Hastinapur, the city of Hastinapur, Balramji is dragging through his plow. So in the UK sessions, we are in the 10th chapter. We are in the 9th chapter today. In the US session, which Hemaji attends, also we are in the 69, 68 chapters we have completed. So all the childhood leelas, Krishna's growing up, and the Ras Panchadhyay, and the killing of Kans, and all those leelas have taken place. And now we are in the last 30 chapters. So today leela was about Balramji. That Balramji, he first came to Braj, and then he played in the water of Yamuna, and he also had to threaten Yamuna because Yamuna was not appearing. So that we read about Balramji, and in today's episode we read how Krishna's son Samb, he came for the swambar of Duryodhan's daughter Lakshmana, and there were many big warriors and kings, but Krishna's son Samb, who is the son of Jambavati, he won the hands of Lakshmana, the daughter of Duryodhan, and he is the person who has been the winner in the swambar. But this is not liked by the Kauravas, and they are fuming. How one of the Pandavas can come and get past in the swambar? So they prepare to insult the Pandavas, and they want to have a battle with them. So the news reaches Dwarka, and Sri Krishna prepares to come over and fight. But Balramji intervenes and he says, let me try to avoid the war and go for a truce. So he comes over and he wants to convince the Kauravas this is not good. So first he sends Uddhavji, and then he himself comes to negotiate the truce. But these people are very much insulting and very much arrogant. And finally, to cut the story short, Balramji also shows his anger and he decides to punish. And what is the punishment? He takes out his plow and he is dragging the entire city. So how we can drag the entire city, how Balramji is dragging the entire city of Hastinapur, we cannot understand through the material intellect. But this is what Bhagwat says. So all these stories, so this story I had read earlier, but I had forgotten. But today it got refreshed. And now that I'm repeating, perhaps I'll remember it more. So all these stories give us the resources for remembrance. Like Srimad says, Sumiran Karle Mana, Chin Chin Radha Ramana. This was in the very last discourse of Sri Maharaj-ji. In 2013, when Sri Maharaj-ji left left for his Golok Dham, this was the bhajan which was sung in the last lecture of Sri Maharaj-ji. Sumiran kar le mana chin chin Radha Ramana. Sumiran kar le mana chin chin Radha Ramana. So, Sumiran Karle Mana Chin Chin Radha Ramana is the ultimate message of Srimad Bhagavad Mahapuran. That every moment we are to remember Sri Krishna and our Guru, because Guru is the link for the Lord. So Hari Guru's remembrance is the paramount requirement, and so when we read these stories, that remembrance becomes so much easier. Otherwise, Maya is so strong that all the time it is tormenting the jiva. The senses, we have 5 karmendriyas, the knowledge, the action senses, and 5 gyanendriyas, the knowledge senses, they are forever demanding. And that is also very beautifully captured in Srimad Bhagavad Mahapuran in Canto 11, Chapter 9, Shloka number 27. Jihva kato mamupak karshita karhi trisha shishno anyat astva gudaram shravanam kutaschit grano nanyat swapa lakadrikascha tvam swapatnya iva geha patim lulanti. I missed 1 or 2 words. I'm trying to memorize this shlok because this is one of the most famous shlokas which Maharaji would recite. And the meaning is, this is in the Bhagavad Mahapuran, 11th canto, that imagine there are 5 wives for one husband, which is how it used to be in the early days. So 1 husband, 5 wives, each wife is pulling the husband in her chamber. Similarly, Bhagavad is informing that the senses are pulling the soul, pulling the person in different directions. Jihva kato mumapak karshati karhi trasha. The tongue is wanting tasty food and great beverages, drinks. The other organs of the body are also demanding different objects. So it's like the 5 wives pulling the husband in different directions. And this is how the karmendriyas and the gyanendriyas are pulling the soul in different directions. And in a way, deha patim lulanti, they are looting the soul. So what is the recourse? If we don't take to bhakti, we can never get rid of the material desires. And as long as we have material desires, we are becoming a slave to the desires, we can never have peace and bliss. But who can fathom the material desires? We cannot overcome the material desires on our own. So the best recourse is to do bhakti, which will slowly prepare us, where it will become very much natural for the soul to be in the thoughts of the Lord, and the material desires will slowly get transcended. It's not that the person stops eating food, but he doesn't become a slave to the food. That is the meaning. So everything is in accordance with the Lord's wish. And about the other theme, that the Lord is there everywhere, we should always remember. This was how the three Urdu poets also interacted with one another. Mirza Ghalib wrote, शराब पीने दो मुझे मस्जिद में बैठकर, या वो जगह बताओ जहां खुदा नहीं. Let me drink the wine sitting in the mosque, or else you tell me where is the place where the Lord is not there. So the other poet, Iqbal, he wrote, he says, मस्जिद खुदा का घर है, पीने की जगह
Yeah, I think your internet is getting
नहीं.
your internet is getting it's breaking up.
Go in. Okay. So it broke for a long time, or
No, it was for Iqbal, whatever Iqbal poet, that part was
Iqbal. So I'll
missing.
repeat Iqbal's, and if it is okay, otherwise I'll move to the iPhone.
Now it is
Is
fine.
it okay
Now
now?
it is fine.
Okay.
Yeah, now it is fine.
So let me repeat what Iqbal said. So Iqbal says that मस्जिद खुदा का घर है, पीने की जगह नहीं, काफिर के दिल में जाओ जहां खुदा नहीं. The mosque is the place of the Lord. It is not the place to drink liquor. Go into the heart of the atheist, the non-believer. There the God does not exist. And the other poet Faraz, he wrote, होकर आया हूं मैं काफिर के दिल से, खुदा तो है वहां पर उसे पता नहीं. I am coming after seeing the heart of the non-believer. Actually, the Lord is there, but that person is not realizing. So the theme that God is there everywhere in every particle of the universe, the Lord in the Paramatma form is seated in our heart. The theoretical knowledge we have got, but how much practically we are applying will determine our level of peace and level of bliss and level of devotion, etc. So these are a few points which I thought I'll share in the context of Krishna Bhakti, which we are relishing through different leelas. Today we read the Ukal Leela. Now let us open up and see what participants have to say. Over to Shri Vijay.
Thank you so much, Priya. To start with, like the bhajan was so wonderful, and it's so meaningful, and it talks about completely about surrender. I have some questions around that, and thank you so much for giving all these summarized notes, and which will help us in keeping up and probably in the path of the bhakti in a intense way, because we listen this, but we don't realize that by thinking that, okay, I know this, I've heard several times, and we don't kind of focus on that particular one point of wisdom, or some 4 or 5 wisdom which you summarized just now. So it's so wonderful. Definitely the Nirantar Bhakti that you spoke, and then you spoke about to realize God everywhere, which we always forget, and we think that, okay, when we do sadhana, that time only God will come in front of me, not other times, and we just try going into all our material desires and running behind it every time, thinking that this is part of our life, and we have to do this, pursue this. Thank you so much for that. For because it personally helped me also, for some time to realize, okay, I have to focus more on that also. And my question was like, I have many of us, like we have often heard in many places in Bhagavad Gita, in Bhagavatam, many times from Maharaji that we have to surrender. We have to, because the end goal is surrender. Whatever we are doing is to practice surrender. So just wanted to, get your practical nature understanding, what all we should do so that we can progress on this surrender path, intensely and strongly. Because we are doing bhajan, and sometimes it is becoming a routine, like, okay, I have to do this, that, this time, and rest of the time, mind is not at all, thinking about that. And let's say there is some satsang or there is some bhajan sandhya, or if there is some event somewhere, we just go and do it. But that is not helping me in going into this path of surrender intensely. So if you can provide us some tips and kind of thoughts which I can keep and revising it every time and checking it every time, so that I know that, okay, I'm at least doing something in this path. Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, sorry. So I was a bit distracted. So you are saying the practical tips, right?
Yeah, I mean the practical nature and of surrender, and how obviously we I have to it's very good to go and find out from senior devotees like you, and then many more people who are already in this path from long time, based on their experience and their anubhav from what they have
Yeah.
learned.
So, yeah. So this is the challenge that we have to enhance, intensify our sadhana. And so the discipline, I would say, is the most important. And the perseverance, we all have learned the theory now, and we know our welfare is in desiring in accordance with God's desire. But if I have to single out one particular point which retards my progress or which becomes a stumbling block, is the lack of control over desires. So no matter how much you don't want to desire, you fall in the trap of desiring some unnecessary talks or unnecessary subjects, which later you repent. But that is so difficult and so tempting, so the complete discipline and the complete control is the struggle for everyone. If we can control our desires, then we have already uh, reached the point of God realization. So surrender is the answer. Anukulasya sankalpaha pratikulasya varjanam rakshasi iti te vishwaso goptriptve varnam tatha atmnikshepakarpanya shadvidha sharanagati. So the six conditions: desire in accordance with God's desire, do not desire what is not in accordance with God's desire. Same point, first point repeated in a emphatic manner in reverse. And third, always feel that I'm a devotee of the Lord and I'm being protected by the Lord all the time. And number four, we don't think that we are possessor of the wealth or the material paraphernalia that we have with us. We always feel God is the real owner. And number five, whatever happens to us, we don't react negatively. We take it as a blessing of God. Even some punishment, some calamity, some adversity, we should see that there is a purpose why this adversity is taking place. It is to take me to a higher level. So these are the conditions, and the last condition is we fulfill those 5 conditions and we don't have the pride that we are surrendered. But amongst these 6 factors, the first factor is the most important and complete in itself. Desiring in accordance with God's desire. So if we have to wish to become God realized, that means we have achieved everything that is there to achieve. Let us watch our thoughts. Any thought which we feel, no, this is not going to be entertained by the Lord, then we have to think twice. So it becomes a personal interaction with Hari and Guru. We are watching our thoughts, but we are not able to control. When we are not able to control, are we repenting enough and again restarting? So this is the cycle, I would say, and this is the challenge. But you can shed some more light about your experience, and then we can discuss further, or we can hear from other participants.
Yeah, I mean, because I first of all, thank you so much for giving all the points of surrender. And I mean, with my experience, I've seen like although by magic grace, at least that thought comes to my mind that okay, there is something which will not be liked by God, but still I do it. Still I do it. I override that and I do it. You know, prior to this, it never used to come to my mind that okay, I should not do this. I was, knowingly or unknowingly, I used to do it. But now it is coming to my mind that I should not do it, but still I do it. So I don't know. Like later on, it I probably realize sometimes that okay, no, I shouldn't have done this, but something happens, and I think let's do it. So I don't know, like maybe it's just something like we have to practice more, and probably after some practice it will start happening. So yeah.
Bhaiya, can I ask you the same question? How do you know that this is? Can you give us an example to make it a bit clearer?
Yeah, I mean,
Rajesh.
let's say
Rajesh ji, I was asking Rajesh ji.
okay, Rajesh, okay.
What is the question?
The question that Vijay Bhaiya said, sometimes he knows that it's will, it's divine will, but he shouldn't go against it, yet he goes against it. And then he realizes that he's made a mistake and he shouldn't have done it. Earlier, he didn't even used to have that realization. He would do it willy-nilly anyway. And now he knows, but still, sometimes he overrides it. My question to you is, can you give us an example of how do you really know that it's the desire of Hari or Guru?
Your heart will tell you. Suppose your child has made some mistake and you are going on and without really understanding what the child is going through, you are being extremely harsh. So if you are a sensitive person and if you are truly doing sadhana, you will know that I am crossing the limit. So I should handle it with more care, and I should be more tolerant, and I should have a loving approach in resolving the problem. So that could be one example. Another example, in office, sometimes the politics is going on in the office. So instead of trying to have a very positive approach to the project, we also want to get into the politics. So in a kind of a nefarious way, in a negative way. So that is not going to help. That is going to bring more disturbance and more. So there the heart will tell us, no, this approach is not correct. Sometimes, the interactions with their spouse, we are arguing, we are fighting. We know that, let me keep quiet. Keeping quiet will be the answer. But because of ego, because of our own nature, we are trying to push. So in all occasions, the heart will tell us, hey, stop. The Lord is watching. So this we have to cultivate, the habit. And because this is the most important point, if anyone becomes an expert in handling the desires, then he will reach God realization. But the more important thing is to delay the action. Suppose somebody has written a very nasty email. The moment we read that email, we are becoming very much livid, very much angry. So the next best thing is to do is to pause. Let some time pass. Okay, I'll reply, but let me make a draft. I'll reply after 1 hour. And then the heat of the moment will go away, and slowly, when you read the same email second, third time, you will start seeing what made him write like that. And then you become more alert, more articulate, more prudent in answering the mail. So there are hundreds and thousands of examples where we can feel how we could have done better. So this is not something, there is some written rules and regulations. It is a realization, in my opinion. So we have to cultivate the habit. But most importantly, if we are genuine in our sadhana, did I read some Bhagavad Gita shlok or practice something which is spiritually enlivening? Did I do the minimum that I should do every day? Minimum exercises, minimum singing, minimum bhajan, minimum sadhana, minimum meditation, minimum pranayam. Did I do all that? And it is quite possible that we are not being able to do it every day, but at least to some degree, and we are realizing that yes, today I missed this, so tomorrow I'll be more cautious. So that itself, in my opinion, is a good approach. But let us hear from you all.
No, thank you. That's been very helpful. Rajesh ji, that's been very
Thank you.
Thanks.
Baby steps we have to take, और धीरे धीरे करके, और ये हम सोच लें कि तुरंत बिल्कुल सब कुछ अच्छा हो जाएगा, हमारा शुद्धिकरण हो जाएगा, तो वो ख्याली पुलाव है. तो मेहनत करनी पड़ती है और टाइम लगता है. लेकिन हर everyone has a different baggage of karma, so depending on the past, we can
Very true.
go
Yeah,
ahead.
I have something to say about you. You are so pure-hearted and so open and so humble that you do not hesitate to share these questions, but they're really, really helpful to all the others as well, I assure you.
Thanks so much, Didi, for it's
No,
all,
I really mean it.
thank you so much.
Hema, anything from you, Hema?
Yes, Radhe Radhe. Vijay Bhai has reminded me of like where I was 3 years ago with my sadhana, and I'm reminiscing the lessons from last year, the science of mind management. In a 24-hour clock cycle, we generate 60,000 thoughts. 60,000 thoughts. What thoughts are these? How are they affecting us physically, mentally, emotionally? How can we subdue them, direct them towards something else? And it's like Rajesh Bhaiya says, don't give instant reaction. Step back, take a pause, breathe, think how you can turn that negative email or comment or remark around, so as that the other person or individual then realizes, yes, I was a little bit harsh, so let me try and fix it. And vice versa, it's worked the same way with me as well. A work colleague of 18 years took early retirement on Friday. A month before, I was asked to move my desk further away from her And I thought, oh my God, this is my last month with this work colleague. But it's like it goes through that detachment process. Nothing is permanent in life. So I thought about it. Do I really want to spend my last few weeks with my work colleague of 18 years away? And then quickly, straight away, the concept of detaching, of detaching ourselves, of our loved ones, material possessions, that the knowledge just kicked in. And I would say the last week has been absolutely amazing for me. You know, with people coming up to me and asking me how you're coping, how you're doing. I said, I'm doing fine. I'm still here. I'm normal. But it was having that knowledge, and, you know, slowly, if we listen to Maharaj's lectures, if we read the books, if we read the Pad, the message then gets infused in our hard drive. And then when we are in a situation, we know how to handle and compose ourselves. So thank you very much for sharing that, Vijay Bhaiya. It's set me off on memory lane. And also I wanted to ask, Balram's plow and mace, they must have been divine in order for Balram to drag the whole of Hastinapur into the Yamuna River. The plow is only so large for Lord Balram to hold in his hand, but the energy and the power, it must have been, well, it has to be divine.
Every paraphernalia of the Lord is divine. That's what I
Divine.
understand. Like whatever Lord is carrying, Sudarshan Chakra or the Kaustubh Mani or the Mukut or the flute, everything is divine. There is a story about all these paraphernalia, and so must be the case with Balramji. So very beautiful point that Balramji's plow is not an ordinary plow that we can drag a simple structure. Lord's plow can drag whatever be the object, and that's how he could drag Hastinapur. I fully agree.
Radha, thank you.
I think we are over time, so
Right. So with that, Boliye Srimad Sadguru
Sadguru
Sarkar ki
Sarkar
jai.
ki
Jai.
Srimad Yugal Sarkar ki jai.
Jai.
Jai Jai Shri
Shri
Radhe.
Radhe.
Jai Jai
Jai
Shri
Shri
Radhe.
Radhe.
Jai Jai
Jai
Shri
Shri
Radhe.
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 Let's see.